I've been on the hunt for fragrances that read quiet sophistication. Most of my fragrances are bold, dynamic, but I'm looking to branch out to fragrances that give elevated without being boring. And I've been on the hunt. I cast the net wide, testing niche fragrances, designer fragrances, Arabian fragrances. We have them all from affordable to super fucking expensive. I tested all of them. And I have a few things to share with you. There's 17 fragrances in this video. It's going to be a long one, so strap in. I'm going to take you through the fragrances I tested, which ones are full bottle worthy, and the other ones that are best left on the shelf. I'm going to let you know all of them and then some. So let's get into it.
I'm in so robotic. Everything I do is cold. Funky.
Hi, I'm Jeanique, and there are like 5 fragrances out of this bunch that are totally worth the money, and I'm a little bit disappointed that that's the case. I go into these testing videos hoping I'm disappointed with everything because then my pockets are safe, but that is not what happened here. I tested a whole bunch of fragrances, and so many of them fragrances from Ormonde, from Arabian houses, from some designers that I ended up falling in love with hard. So we're gonna talk through it. If that sounds like something you're interested in, if you like this kind of video, subscribe, like the video, come back for more. If you are coming back for another video and you've been here before, hey y'all, thank you for subscribing, thank you for watching my videos, thank you for showing YouTube that, you know what, I'm not that boring and you like talking about fragrances with me. I appreciate it.
Don't you wanna do it too? Acting.
Let's start off with Arabian and dupe fragrances. Because this category is a happy place for me, there are usually dynamic fragrances for a fraction of the cost. What is not to love? We have 4 fragrances in this category. I'm going to start off with my absolute favorite of the bunch, and it's from Fragrance World, and it is Francique 107.9. It is a dupe of a BDK's Rouge Smoking. Now, I've been wanting to try this fragrance for a very, very long time because it's supposed to be a sweet cherry with a smoky base. Not an overly like girly, juvenile sweet cherry, but very dynamic and robust with a bit of smokiness in the base along with some powderiness. Now, I've been wanting to try this out, but finding a sample of Rouge Smoking has been impossible. It's fucking impossible. So I've gone out and found a dupe of the fragrance to test out instead. It still has that really heavy smokiness in the base, but instead of having cashmere wood and that powderiness like you do in the original, what you have in this one is a departure that introduces some leather nuances that makes the fragrance feel and read a little bit more unisex than I expect the original to feel. Now, this fragrance, the dupe, is absolutely beautiful. The cherry, the pepper makes the fragrance feel really lively and fun. The smokiness, the leather, all of it makes the fragrance feel really dynamic and beautiful. I think for dupe prices, I think this is a fantastic option if you're looking for something like Rouge Smoking but you don't want to spend BDK money. My next favorite in this category was from Emir, and it's called Forbidden Sugar, and it is a dupe of Frank Boclet's Sugar. Similar name. No, I just bought it because of the name. It said sugar, so I was like, absolutely yes, I want to try that, right? That was the only thing that I knew, and I went in with that in mind. And testing this fragrance, I was pleasantly surprised. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting very straightforward sweetness. It is not that. It's very dynamic, it's very beautiful, but it's not for everybody. Now, what does it do? It does these extremely sweet sugary notes. There's marshmallow, there is sugar, there is caramel, there is honey, a lot of sweetness, all kind of building towards different angles of sweetness to build out a very sweet picture. Very beautiful. Then it has these distinctly green notes like cassis. It's very green, very sharp. It almost smells like patchouli sitting in the base of a fragrance. It's doing that kind of work, but it starts from the outset. And then it has playing secondary position to the greenness and the sweetness. Some floral notes like orange blossom, kind of giving the fragrance some body and fullness. Now, this fragrance is right up my alley. It doesn't read quiet sophistication. It reads but out. It reads in your face. It's sweet and green at the same time, kind of doking it out and giving this really like bold statement. And I think this is absolutely beautiful. So if you like Frank Boclet Sugar, maybe this is your vibe as well. Or if you like greenness and you know you like a patchouli fragrance and you love a lot of sweetness, like almost clawing in the back of your throat sweetness, then you might enjoy this as well. I know I do. I was so impressed with this and I did not see it coming. It's upside down. I did not see it coming at all. Called Shiyaaka Rose from Khadlaj, and this is supposed to be a dupe of Burberry Her Elixir. Y'all know how I feel about Burberry Her Elixir. It is a beautiful, yummy, creamy strawberry milk fragrance that I'm obsessed with. I have a full bottle of, and I've been talking about since I picked it up like a couple of months ago, right? Obsessed with that fragrance. This is not that. This fragrance attempts to find like the middle ground between Burberry Her, the original, and the elixir version, but I don't think it pulls on the best qualities of either one. So for Burberry Her, one of my main reasons it's not a favorite from me, it's nice, I like it, I'm not obsessed with it, is because it is so powdery. It's too powdery for my sensibilities basically. And the elixir version, I think that I love about it is that it is so creamy and lactonic, and I love that. Now in this dupe, they have taken most of the sweeter elements of the elixir version and replaced the creaminess with the powderiness from the original. Who wanted that? Who asked for that? I didn't. And I don't think any Burberry Her Elixir fan is asking for the creaminess to be replaced by more powderiness. The next Arabian fragrance I tested was a dupe of Baccarat Rouge 540, and it was Maison Alhambra's Baroque Rouge something. I think it's just Baroque Rouge, right? And with this fragrance, it's a hard fucking no for me. It's not bad. It's good. It's nice. But as somebody who has a disgusting number of BR540 dupes, it's nasty the amount of dupes that I have, then it has a lot of competition. It has a lot to live up to. Maybe if I'd never smelt a dupe before, I'd only smelt the original, I'd be very happy with this one. But I've seen better dupes out there, and so it just doesn't cut it for me. So let's get to what is my main issue with this dupe. It doesn't have the woodiness of the original or many of the other dupes. It takes out the woodiness. Now, part of what that does, it does two things. One, it means that it does not have the longevity of a lot of other BR540 dupes and disappears much quicker. Why would I want that for myself, right? An underperforming dupe. Why would I want that when there are well-performing dupes on the market? Second, it pulls the fragrance from being unisex to more feminine. But there are other feminine BR540 dupes on the market, like Anna Abied Rouge that I have from Lattafa. Now that one commits to being more feminine and adds in some more florals and some sweeter fruit to make it feel a little bit airier and pretty. This one just takes out the woodiness. So it does not have the sweetness, it just has the aromaticness of BR540, some of the hint of sweetness of it, but it does not commit to being more feminine. It just extracts the woodiness out of the fragrance, which I don't think doesn't do it any good. In summary, it's nice if the reason you don't like BR540, you like everything about it except for the woodiness, then this gives you all of that without the thing you hate. But if you like BR540 for exactly what it is, then this isn't going to give that. If you like BR540 but wish it was a little bit sweeter, you're not going to get that out of this one. So basically it's nice. It's not something that I necessarily need to have in my collection or really want to have at all, but it isn't terrible. It's nice. I get where other people like it. It's just not for me, not really. Now let's get into the designer fragrances I tested this month. I tested 4 of them, and they were mostly somewhere in the middle, nothing like mind-blowing, but there are a few that I very much liked. I'm going to start off with Armani Si Intense, the remix. Now they've recently reformulated Si Intense. Boo. I love Si Intense, y'all know this. I tested it in my last month's testing video. Go watch it. Last month's testing video, and I talked about how ambery and heavy it was, but I could see how somebody who loved the Armani Si line might try the Intense version and be like, no thank you. It's a little bit too heavy, it's not as sweet, it's a little bit too warm. I could understand why it didn't fit in that line. So when I heard like a week later they had reformulated and come up with a new Si Intense, I thought, yeah, makes sense. Okay, so I tested the new one because of course I did. I ran to the store and I got a sample because I needed to ASAP. I also picked up the old Si Intense because it had like a couple bottles left, and I was like, thank you, give me, because it's so good. Anyway, this new one is like, okay, if Si Intense, the original, is me in my late 20s, early 30s, lived a little bit of life, drank a few whiskeys, little bit cynical about the world, I might wear that. The new version is you in your early 20s, the world is your oyster, everything is perfect. There's something about the new Si Intense that even though it's powdery, so that's different. The old one was very ambery. It's now powdery and it skews a lot sweeter. It gives this sort of sweetness of stone fruit, so like peach and apricot. It's very pretty. It reads youthful, spring, summer dress, out running through a field with friends, drinking mimosas and sangrias and living your best life. There's something really happy about the new Si Intense, and I do think it fits better in that line that I think as a whole reads really fun and happy. When I think about Si Passion, it reads tropical vacation to me. When I think about Si Passion Eclat, I think youthful, fresh, bright rose. That's what it gives to me. And Si, the original, is very vanilla and soft and cozy, like you in like a really oversized white sweater. Like that's what Si gives. So the intense version, the new intense version, being powdery and youthful and very, very sweet, it makes sense, it fits, it's really, really pretty. If that is your vibe, you're going to love it. I would not be averse to a full-size bottle of this version. I think it's really lovely. I'm just a little bit salty that they've gotten rid of the version I am obsessed with, and for now I'm going to nurse the bottle I picked up, the Si Intense that I picked up, and enjoy it and try to forget that it's no longer in formulation and they've like gone left with the new one. But it is really wonderful, and if you got a chance to test it out, you should absolutely do so if you like that kind of fragrance. My next favorite in this category, the designer category, is Chloe's Low. No, L-E-A-U, Low. It is, okay, hear me out. Chloe isn't for everybody. Chloe does rose beautifully. So if you are a rose girly, Chloe is for you. And this version is so fun. It's so summer. And I feel mad at myself that I did not test this out like 2-3 months ago, because I stayed having this sample and did not test it. And now I feel like I missed out. So as far as like summery quiet sophistication go, I do think this fits that bill. It is the classic Chloe Rose, but sort of dialed back and a little bit younger and fresher, with really bright citrus, a mix of sweeter citrus with more tart citrus coming together to give something a little bit watery. It feels like it should be on like a boat in Nantucket or something, right? There's something that feels really elevated and pretty, but really sort of laid back. You're not trying too hard. It's really lovely, but you have to love rose. Like, as much as I want to say it's a young, fresh rose, Chloe never gives us the non-rose, right? Those rose fragrances where you barely smell rose. The rose is definitely present in here. It's just not as full, robust, or overpowering. It's a beautiful fragrance. I'm glad I got to test it. It isn't the season for this fragrance, but I'll be looking at this one come spring, summer of next year. Absolutely. Here's the thing. I've been looking for a gourmand fig fragrance, and I got excited when I saw that Maison Marie did one, because you'd be surprised to find that gourmand figs are not easy to find. They're usually green figs that are on the market, and that's annoying to me when I'm looking for something very specific. So when I found this one, I got really excited. I ran to the store. I did not walk, because this brand is so known for doing beast mode fragrances. And yes, I know, I wanted quiet sophistication, but when it came to gourmand fig, I wanted very jammy and rich and beautifully sweet, right? It's not that. It is quiet. I don't know if it's sophistication, but it is quiet. I don't know why they decided to go this route with this fragrance, because all of the notes are dialed back. It's gourmand fig and tonka. It sounds like it'd be amazing, right? But everything is so restrained in here, you barely smell the notes. Like, this feels like they were trying to appeal to like a Juliet Has a Gun audience rather than their own. And I don't understand why they would go there, but let's talk about it. So if the gourmand fig ideally would be sweet enough to be a 10, this is about a 3. And if the tonka is normally like spicy, rich, creamy, should be at another 10. This is about a 4. It's mostly that creamy, spicy tonka a little bit. It's very subtle. It isn't very sweet. And the gourmand fig, again, you get that figgy smell. It's round. It smells a little bit like dates. It's beautiful, but it is really, really subtle. This is the kind of fragrance you wear to bed. It's so soft. It is pretty, but it is soft. So it feels a little bit disappointing because had they gone hard with either of these notes, I feel like this would be so beautiful, just so beautiful, so addictive, so wonderful. And they decided, let me try to appeal to these clean girl aesthetic girlies rather than the rest of us who wanna smell real rich and sweet and decadent. They didn't give us that. They gave us soft and subtle, which I think there's a place for bed, but at their price points, I'm not gonna do it. So I was disappointed with this one, and the search continues for that gourmand fig goodness, which I have not found yet. Next fragrance I want to talk about is one that made me viscerally angry, irrationally angry for no fucking reason. That was my bad. I just got very pissed. And it's Tiffany & Company Eau de Parfum. Now this fragrance isn't terrible. It isn't bad. It managed to like sit in this weird place on like the fragrance spectrum where it's just so unmemorable and nothing is happening, or it's so aggravating that it is so unmemorable that you wasted a whole day testing this fragrance but you could have worn anything else. Yeah, that's where this fragrance sit. And I feel a little bad saying that because there are other fragrances from Tiffany & Company that I've never talked about that are fire. I'm going to talk about some of those because I need to make up for this terrible review that I'm about to give. No, this fragrance it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell anything. It's just sort of there, right? This is the fragrance you wear. You're going on a long car ride and there's a friend in the car who loves to complain about fragrances because they're a complainer, and you don't have to piss them off and hear their mouth for the whole ride. This is what you wear. Is it your shampoo? Is it your lotion? Is it the soap you use? It's all mixed together. Like that's what it sort of gives. It's just sort of there. It's mellow. It doesn't commit to any sort of smell. It's just sort of unremarkable. It is iris, and like I've said before, with a lot of soft florals, right? It's not so much a smell as it is a texture, and so you get some of the powderiness of iris, but not even like a lot of powderiness. They've even gone like restrained when it comes to the texture of the fragrance. But what is the smell? It's sort of mild citrus that isn't very sweet, but it isn't very tart, and it isn't very fresh. It's just sort of sitting in this weird overlapping middle ground of like, it's nice, I guess, but it isn't doing very much. And with the iris, it's just sort of there. So the fragrance is pretty for what it is. It's inoffensive for what it is. But like, there is nothing to draw anybody to this fragrance. Like, are you an iris girly? You wouldn't pick this. Are you a citrus girly? You wouldn't pick this. Do you love soft florals? You wouldn't pick this because it doesn't appeal to any one thing or any one thing that people would like be attracted to a fragrance for. It just tries to appeal to so many people that I think it doesn't appeal to anybody. It was a disappointing test for me because I had high hopes, and it did not give me the quiet sophistication I would expect from a brand like Tiffany. Instead, I got so generic as to like go like 180 and be like aggravating. Honestly, truly. In the month of September, I tested 10 niche fragrances, trying to find the epitome of quiet sophistication among them. And I will say I found some real gems here and some really lovely fragrances, some quieter, some louder, but many of these are absolutely lovely and are worth the hype they get. I'm gonna start off with the one that maybe surprised me the most, primarily because it is not exactly my style, but I absolutely love this one, and it's Ormonde Jayne's Levant. Now hear me out. I tried Levant and it sort of took my breath away for a second. It's so soft, it's so subtle, it's a little bit fresh, a little bit airy, it's white florals, it's a little bit of a sweeter, fresher orange, and it's very sophisticated and very subtle. The thing about spraying this fragrance on, it sort of felt to me like This is a version of myself that I am not usually. Like, this is the fragrance you wear to grab coffee with your mentor, someone you admire, when you're planning out your future professional life. Like, this feels grown and focused and elevated without screaming and shouting and pushing too hard. There's a softness about this fragrance, but something really elevated about it at the same time. I think I get why people love this fragrance so much, and even though it is not what I normally go for, I absolutely think this fragrance is full bottle worthy. This is special occasion worthy. You put this aside, you reach for it on those really special, professional, personal days when you're going to put on a beautiful dress and you want to represent yourself well while being sophisticated and elegant at the same time. This fragrance is absolutely beautiful, especially if you love soft florals. I think this is orange blossom and peony, just a beautiful combination, and I think that this deserves the hype it gets. I also understand for some people it is absolutely too subtle, because I do think it is very subtle, especially for me who doesn't normally go for that scent profile, which is why this wouldn't be an everyday fragrance for me. This is absolutely a special occasion fragrance, but it is lovely. And it feels rich as fuck. And I felt rich when I was wearing it. And I needed y'all to know that. The next fragrance that I tested was supposed to be vanilla, very sweet vanilla, meets quiet sophistication in the form of Maison Mataha's Escapade Gourmand. It's been all over the internet. You couldn't have missed it. People have been talking about this fragrance nonstop. And I wanted to get my nose on it to see if it gave everything I expect out of a vanilla fragrance. One thing to note. Now, this is supposed to be vanilla with a little bit of sugar. There is some tonka, I think, musk, benzoin for a little bit of heft. I will say this is not a heavy, creamy kind of vanilla. There is something kind of crisp about it, and it reads very, very sweet. It pushes without enveloping you. And so I think this is the kind of vanilla you wear either on a very cold day when you just want just a very crisp line of vanilla sweetness, or you wear it on a warmer day in the daytime while you're running out. You're looking for a daytime vanilla fragrance that optimizes sweetness without bringing a lot of like heavy body. So there are fragrances in this vein, like the one that's coming up next, but not really, like 100 Silent Ways or Trussardi's Donna, that gave very much everyday vanilla. Some of those skew a little bit fresher. This one is just ultra sweet in trying to communicate this very like jammy sweet vanilla without being too overwhelming, too overpowering, and too heavy. The next fragrance I want to talk about is Nishane's 100 Silent Ways X. See how they go together. I just mentioned the original and now I'm talking about the flanker. Like I said, I love the original of Nishane's 100 Silent Ways X. My only issue with that fragrance is that it's an everyday fragrance you're going to wear to the grocery store, grab some coffee, but it costs like $400 a bottle. Like, how fucking dare you? Right? Like, you don't feel compelled to put on that perfume just to run errands. You need it for a special occasion, but it really just goes with every day. It's a conundrum. If I see it on sale though, I'll grab it up because it's lovely. Now, they came out with the X version either earlier this year or late last year. One of the two. I talked about it when it happened. Check out that video. I will link it. And they were supposed to be introducing leather fragrance. That says suede, it's not suede, it's leather. Introducing leather to the fragrance, and I was curious about the type of leather they'd be introducing because not all leather is the same. Some are very masculine, they're very dirty, they're just very heavy, and I'm not here for it. I want a feminine fragrance. Now, this is somewhere in the middle. I want to talk about Guerlain's Kerbeluga next, and the leather in that is better. It's way better. But in this one, I think it's sweet in that one. In this one, it's a very sort of masculine leaning leather with this sort of sweet, airy vanilla. The combination is kind of addictive. I think if you're looking for a special occasion fragrance and you're a vanilla person who loves a leather note, this is perfect. I prefer, personally, the Rouge smoking combination because the cherry being so jammy with the leather together that's a little bit dirty. They just create a combination that I think is like ultra sexy, like Vixen femme fatale energy. But I think the leather with the vanilla in this reads really sophisticated, very restrained, but it reads more professional to me than anything. Like, this is the fragrance I would wear to the office when I have an important presentation, which says a lot. Like, I think it gives a lot of power flower, but it isn't too masculine. I think it's really elevated. It's very nuanced. I do wish it was a cleaner leather note or an actual suede note in this to give us a little bit of softness to the fragrance, because it is so unisex leaning, but it smells fantastic. It is really beautiful. It is not the kind of vanilla I would wear every day, but if I had something special in the daytime to do, I would reach for it. So I just mentioned Guerlain's Cœur Beluga. Cœur means leather and beluga, I don't know what beluga means. I think a kind of amber. Anyway, I think it's referring to a kind of amber. It's a vanilla fragrance for the most part, and then this soft, fresh, young leather, like new leather, like putting your face into a new leather handbag leather that is crisp and clean and fresh smelling with a whole bunch of round, slightly spicy vanilla. This fragrance is so full bottle worthy. I can't say enough about it. It is so fire. It is beautiful. It is rich. It is supple. It is perfect for a grown vanilla fragrance, for a nighttime, date night vanilla fragrance that doesn't shy away from the fact that what it's doing for the most part is rich, round, supple vanilla. This fragrance is so fire, and I'm obsessed with it, and I want it, and it's full bottle worthy, and I need to have it in my collection ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. I'm obsessed. I love her. And I'm just so surprised, shocked, enticed, all of the things with this fragrance, because why is it so good? Why? It has no right. The next fragrance I tested was Kilian's Good Girl Gone Bad. And I'm going to say something that feels blasphemous. This is the fragrance you wear to church. That is what this fragrance is. This fragrance, it starts off a little bit sharp with a blast, but then it sort of mellows back into this very white, subtle white floral fragrance with hints of citrus, and that's it. It is very pretty. It's very soft. It's the kind of fragrance you put on a Sunday when you're dressed nicely to go out. You're wanting to read very ladylike, or very proper, very restrained in what you're trying to give. You're going to drink some tea that day. You're going to be impressing people. You want to read a little bit more conservative. That is how this fragrance reads to me. It is sort of optimal lady next door kind of energy to this fragrance. I had heard that it had like a little bit of like a smokiness to the base, but it's very subtle. Everything other than the white florals is very subtle in this fragrance. It's very, very pretty. The longevity was not fantastic, but if you're looking for something that's sort of ideal for a Sunday afternoon with drinking tea, out with the family, you're looking for something kind of pretty, nothing that is going to be too loud, reads very womanly, but nothing too juvenile or old-fashioned. I think this straddles the line really nicely. I just wish it lasted longer on the skin, especially for the price. The next fragrance I tested was in the same vein, and I tested it alongside the Kilian fragrance, and it is Kayali's Deja Vu White Flower, because they're giving a lot of the same kind of energy. Going to church on Sundays, that's what you're going to wear this fragrance to do. Going to brunch on Sundays with the family, the mother-in-law, that is what this fragrance is for. But I will say I prefer the Kayali fragrance to the Kilian fragrance. Does that mean I'm not a classy ass bitch? Probably I don't love the expensive one more than the less expensive one, but I think I prefer the Kayali version, testing them for a few days next to each other, and this is why. Kayali does a couple of things differently. I love an animalic note. There's an animalic note in the Kilian version in the base of the fragrance that gives a little bit of nuance and interest. But on the other side of things, Kayali does the base with a little bit of sharp patchouli, nothing too dirty, but it adds a bit of crispness to the fragrance. Some sandalwood for some just base and roundness, and a little bit of vanilla. Makes it better. It does. Now we have the granddaddies of the white florals in here. They did not shy away. We have tuberose, yes. We have orange blossom, we got some jasmine, we have some gardenia. They have the holy four for the white florals. It's a lot. And you have to love white florals to enjoy this fragrance. But to make it a little bit more palatable to some people who aren't all the way on board with the white florals, that's not me, I love white florals, they add in some nectarine, which reads almost like peach or apricot. I think it's maybe apricot. There's a stone fruit in here that gives it some dimension and some sweetness that I think is absolutely lovely. I think it's a really complimentary fragrance. This is not the fragrance I would necessarily wear to work. I think it's a little bit soft and demure for work, but I think it's fantastic for those Sundays out in the daytime when you're dressed up and you're trying to give sophisticated womanly energy. I think it does exactly that. The next fragrance gives the kind of freshness I think the Tiffany & Company fragrance was going for, but I think it does it a little bit more successfully by picking some more interesting and provoking notes, specifically some lime, some musk, a little bit of dry wood, and it is Juliet Has a Gun Anyway. Now this is a very fresh fragrance. It's a very sour lime with a lot of wateriness. The wateriness is palpable in this fragrance. Like you want to put this on when it's raining out. Like that is the vibe of this fragrance. The wood in here is not like a creamy sandalwood. It's very dry, it's very crisp, it feels very fresh, and there's a little bit of musk in here to give a little bit of a skin scent vibe. Now, this is a fragrance I would gift to my friend Elena. She doesn't love fragrances. She doesn't like to bother people with her fragrances. She loves something that sits close to the skin and makes her feel fresh. And this does exactly that. You're going to smell lovely to yourself without anybody else really experiencing much of that. Now, this is not a fragrance I'd wear into the world. I want to make a little bit more of a statement than this, even if I'm going for quiet sophistication. This is not just quiet, this is whispering. This is whispering. The music isn't just turned down, it is almost muted. But I think it is pretty for what it is. And if you're looking for something that is a little bit closer to the skin, it's a little bit fresher, for those days when you're looking for something a little bit more restrained, I think this fits the bill. Absolutely. I have a little bit of a beef to pick with the people who hate mango as a fragrance. No, what is wrong with y'all? Seriously. Y'all are annoying. I just needed to say that and put that out there because I mean it. Here's the thing. I tried Wilhelm's mango skin and I fell in love immediately because it's not just the flesh of the mango, the sweet, juicy, rich part of the mango. It's also the mango skin. I mean, that's in the name, so, you know, they did that. That greenness, that crispness. Y'all have chewed on mango skin before, right? You get both in this fragrance with a few floral notes that are a little bit watery, like lotus. In the base, we have some woods, we have some musk, we have some vanilla. We have some icing, so a little bit of sweetness, crisp sweetness from the icing, a little bit of pepper in the opening to make it feel like it's dancing in your nose. I think this fragrance is so fire and fun, and everybody hates it. Like, it's rated so low on Fragrantica because of the mango note haters. What is wrong with y'all? I said that already, but I mean it. I love a mango fragrance. I love the tropical smell. I understand that mango can sometimes smell spoiled on some people. Like, it's so close to sweet, it almost smells rotting. And I think as well, people can hate on a green scent, and there's a distinct greenness to this fragrance from the mango skin itself. There's a little bit of a clean patchouli in the base, but together I think you just smell like a tropical vacation, a tropical drink. It's so lovely if you love the smell of mangoes in drinks. I think the addition of the icing to the fragrance helps boost the sweetness in a way that is so lovely, and this is absolutely full bottle worthy. And y'all have seen the Wilhelm bottles, right? I will include, I've probably included for all of the fragrances I've talked about, but I love the Wilhelm bottles, and I think it is absolutely full bottle worthy, not just for the bottle itself, but because of the scent. If you love mango and you love greenness, you love sweet, but you love green tartness at the same time, this is right up your alley. Get a sample, try this out, you will not regret it. Now, if you don't like green scents, stay away from it. If you don't love very sweet fruit smells that may head into too sweet, too right, stay away from this. If you don't like patchouli or pepper, stay away from this. But for everybody else, you're welcome. This is lovely. So I promised y'all a dedicated Dama Bianca review because I recently picked up the dupe of that fragrance in my last Arabian perfume haul. Check that video out. I will link it. And it deserves a conversation because it is different enough from the dupe that I mentioned in that video. You can have both. You can have both. So let's talk about it. Dama Bianca is a little bit weird. It is lovely, but it is weird. If you're looking for vanilla done a little bit differently, Georgiev knows how to give us a little bit different. And it is a lovely fragrance. If you love a not too sweet, creamy, heavy vanilla meets a vegetal smell, maybe a little bit of pickle juice and a little bit of salt, it's weird. But in like the most interesting ways possible. It's also powdery on top of all of that. You're like, what the fuck is happening right now? Why did they do this? Why is this vegetal smell here? That's not what you expect in a vanilla fragrance. But the more you wear it, the more it develops, the more nuanced you realize it is. And you're like, maybe vanilla and vegetal smells go together because Georgiev is doing this thing. It is a beautiful fragrance. If you have a lot of vanillas like me and you want something a little bit different, you don't want to do the same vanilla over and over and over again, because even in this video I presented 3 vanilla leathers or vanilla suedes. There's so many. This is something very different. I don't think it's a safe blind by the way other people say that it is. I think that vegetal smell, almost savory smell that comes on the back end of this fragrance, the heavy duty powder in this fragrance, all of those things Whew, it can be a lot if that's not what you are expecting. So I would say test this out before buying it. I don't think this is a safe blind buy. I think Lyra is a safe blind buy, but I don't think this is. I think this is lovely. I think this is interesting. I don't think I'd want to wear this every day, but I think when I'm in the vibe to give avant-garde energy but make it vanilla, I would reach for this easy. Which of these are full bottle worthy? The problem this past month was that a lot of these fragrances are fire and are full bottle worthy, but my pocket's not set up to pick up all of these. So I'm gonna let you know which ones I think are magical and which are the most full bottle worthy. So in the Arabian perfume category, I think Rouge Smoking, the Rouge Smoking dupe, Francique 107.9 from Fragrance World is absolutely full bottle worthy. I also think the dupe of Frank Boclet's Sugar, which is Emir's Forbidden Sugar, also beautiful fragrance if you love a very sweet fragrance mixed with a lot of greenness. I think the new Si Intense is full bottle worthy, just not for me right now because I'm still salty that they've reformulated a fragrance that I absolutely love and enjoy. I also think Chloe Lowe is full bottle worthy, just not at this time of year. I think it's a summer fragrance. I can wait on that one. Now in the niche category, there's so many in this category, y'all, but let's start off with the favorite of this bunch. Easy peasy, it's Guerlain's Cœur Beluga. That suede, leather, soft, feminine suede and leather mixed with that very sweet vanilla. Excuse me, I'm obsessed with it. That is absolutely my favorite of the niche bunch. Not really surprised since I have so many Guerlain fragrances. They know how to do me right and I love them for it. I do think Dama Bianca is full bottle worthy because it is a special fragrance. I think as well, Mango Skin from Wilhelm is giving everything that needs to be gave and then some. Maison Mataha's Escapade Gourmand is not overhyped. It is a beautiful fragrance and I think anybody would be lucky to have that in their collection today, right now, if you love a gourmand vanilla fragrance. And although I loved Nishane's 100 Silent Ways X, I would much rather have the original in my collection rather than the flanker. But most importantly, the thing that I'm rushing out to pick up today ASAP has to be Ormonde Jane's Levant. It feels so sophisticated. It don't feel like me, but it feels like a version of me that I want to be. And I will cosplay as her until I grow into her. That is the game plan. And it's a beautiful fragrance. It's so sophisticated. It's so elevated. It's subtle as fuck. And I am not usually that, but sometimes it's warranted. And I think it is a way to wear that kind of style without feeling like you're not saying very much at all. If you enjoyed this video, check out my last video where I talk fall fragrances of different types, different vibes for different occasions. Maybe there's something there for you if you're on the hunt for a good fall fragrance. Again, I'm Jeanique, trying to give soft life, exquisite luxury while being a little bit loud, and I found some gems here. I hope it was helpful to you because I know they're going to run the fuck out of my pocket and I'm not mad at it. Bye y'all.
Baby, you're the one and only.